Alright guys, welcome back to another video. This is not a stream, of course, as you can see. We're gonna go over the trade that I took today. I'm gonna explain what my thoughts were behind the idea during the open position, and why I closed it where I closed it, and how I got stopped out with a gain, with a profit, but it was not as big as I thought, as I wanted it to be. So yeah, let's get right into it. First, of course, we have to find daily bias, and how I find it on a daily basis, or basically how I found it today, was that we had this big ass fair value gap on a daily time frame, but because this this candle was way too big, this area of fair value gap, we reduced it to first a 4-hour fair value gap, which was inside of here. But because this is still quite a big area, I went down to a 1-hour time frame and reduced it to this here. Why inside of here and not in here? Because, well, this was a bigger area and it was almost at the middle. It was just in the discount of this range, even though the more prominent range was from here to here. This was still kind of where the biggest move of Wednesday actually happened. So it was in the discount. Because the area is still way too big, I reduced that to this 15-minute fair value gap. It's not between 3 candles, but between 4, because this is kind of one single move, because there's no real drawdown, retracement inside of this. So that was the fair value gap that I expected to bounce from. But let's just replay to market open. So at this point, all we can see is, I'm just gonna mark everything out. This is the top level buy side liquidity, the external buy side liquidity, and this right here is the internal buy side liquidity. If we look at the sessions, we can see that Tokyo, or Asian session, was in a big consolidation. London didn't really make any big moves, so I was kind of expecting the New York session that I trade to just make a big ass move to the upside, but I was not really sure where we're gonna bounce from, because after seeing this and seeing how far away this fair value gap is, my thought process was, we're either gonna sweep this sell side liquidity or this one from the actual range that we're currently inside of. So that was my setup for now, but there's no opportunity, of course, to trade yet. So I dropped to 1-minute time frame, and this is where we can see that the candles right now, well, they're not very big, so that means that we would have to wait all the way down here, which would take us, I don't know, half an hour or even more to get all the way to this fair value gap. And when I started streaming and watching the charts, I saw this biggest move to the upside, which created equal highs, and that means more buy side liquidity that we're gonna break through later on. We also saw that there was initial consolidation inside of here, then a bit of consolidation here, and this to me looked like it was ready to go from this point. So that's why I immediately entered at the candle close right here. But I was not expecting another big move down here, which was the stop loss hunt. Even though we did not sweep this low, or this one, or even get close to here, I saw that the price is very impulsive and that we are most likely to continue higher. So I entered here because I thought this was the last manipulation move, because we did sweep this sell side liquidity, but I have to remember that sometimes we get like the second sweep for all the early buyers who set their stop loss just like me at the low of the move. So yeah, this is my initial entry. If I just moved it down here, I would have been safe, and this would be still a great trade. I would get a very nice entry off of it, but we did end up losing a bit of money around, I think it was 120 or 150 bucks. But I was like, okay, it was just a mistake on my execution part. My bias does not mean it changed, and I immediately re-entered around, well, it was at exactly 1900 level. Put my stop loss here, but as you can see right now, we are having almost double the size, yeah, more than double the size of a stop loss, which was very bad risk to reward ratio. I mean, very bad. It was more than 1 to 3, but it was very unnecessary, because if we play the chart, we can see that I actually, like, we did catch the start of the move. I'm just gonna go back to normal view just so that you can see that I actually, like, this was my initial entry, got stopped out, then re-entered around here, and I added to my position around here at 16, and I thought the market was just gonna rally up because we had already started this huge move with biggest candles, but market had different plan. It decided to return back down, and what happened was, actually, there was this 2-minute fair value gap here. We rejected it multiple times, that's why I entered, of course, and then we come back down to it. Now this here would have been a better entry to wait for, to add to my position once again, but because of this candle again, I thought that we're just gonna shoot straight up, but I have to learn that the market's not just gonna do most of its move in 1 or 2 candles. So yeah, that should force me to basically stay more patient and just let the market show me an opportunity, not chase the price like I did today. Luckily, the execution of these contracts were, like, they were okay, but we could have gotten a better, much better move, much better entry. So at this point, I'm getting kind of nervous. Why? Because we did sweep this liquidity level. Like, we rejected fair value gap. We did not break through this high, at least. We returned back down. I was still scared to move my stop loss higher, and I was in quite a bit of a drawdown because I couldn't move my stop loss to break even yet. That kind of made me nervous, and I was starting to doubt my my bias, but I took a few deep breaths and I saw that we did not create a bearish fair value gap yet. So that was a good sign, because that means that the price can just easily break through all these highs once it wants to. I was just afraid that it's gonna take me out again before continuing higher. But luckily, I took a look at ES and I saw that ES is already taking off. When we were consolidating around here on NQ, ES was just like chilling at the top, so I was like, okay, NQ simply must catch up. Same thing was with Dow Jones, and that kind of reinforced my confidence in this trade, in my bias. So I just waited basically to start for the price to start sweeping buy side liquidity. That was my sign when to move my stop loss. And so I moved it from after these three entries. My entry averaged out around here, and this was basically my stop loss. And I had to just stay patient and focused. That's why in the stream you can see me that sometimes I'm just like in the zone. I'm not really talking much. So basically after we swap out, I'm pointing with my finger, but you can see it. After we swap out this buy side liquidity, I dared to move my stop closer. I'm not really sure where I moved it to, or was it exactly here or not, but we did came down to this fair value gap again. I was just afraid it's gonna make another huge ass week, but we rejected it, and I was okay. Now I can move my stop here. I just hope we continue higher. And we came back to it one more time, and then we finally break with these white candles and create another fair value gap. So this was kind of my signal to move my stop here down to this low. And once we finally broke out through here, I was able to move it at least like for most of the size. So around 3/4. My stop loss is now at 3/4. At 1/4 of the initial size. And after we broke through this high, I was just like, okay, now I can just move it to break even and chill out. I'm not in the risk anymore. My trade is risk free. Even if I hit break even, that's fine. But I just don't wanna lose any money now right at this point. So we ran through this fair value gap. That also made me more confident in my trade. And I was basically targeting at first this buy side, because I was like, okay, so the market maybe does not want to just shoot straight up and take out some higher form of liquidity. And that's why I took first three contracts of here, but let the rest of it run. But because these big wicks on the buy side were forming, I was like, okay, we might actually sweep this high and continue lower. So that's why I closed another 5 contracts at around this high of previous candle. I wanted to secure some profits after just having this mental torture down here. And then what one mistake was basically that I moved my stop from here. Let's just make this a solid line. I moved my stop to here, and later, after we broke through this high, I moved it first here, but almost immediately changed it just a bit higher to this level, because I thought, well, we have this big fair value gap. You're probably not going to retrace all the way down, but we did, and it took me out and immediately rejected, and that's where we got stopped out. But the smarter move would be to leave it here and wait for this price, this high to get broken, which we did break right here, and then move my stop to this low and just let the market do its thing, and our final target would have been hit, and it could have doubled the profits on this trade, but it is what it is. We still made a bit of a gain today. It was a gain for 0.6%. I'm happy that we did not end up in the red. We ended up green, and our bias was correct. I stuck to my plan, even though, well, not with the entries, but after I got into position, I stuck with my bias. I did not just cut right here. I was thinking about cutting it short and just re-entering when the better opportunity would present itself. But I was kind of like, why would I take an unnecessary loss if I can just hold this position? Like my money is already exposed. I'm not gonna realize that loss. I would rather just then lose, what was it, around $700 and just come another day to the chart and make it back. But luckily it worked out in our favor, and yeah, our final target was hit. Fortunately, we did not go along with it, but it is fine. I'm happy that I was able to recognize my bias, which was correct. I'm happy that I did not fear missing the money. Losing the money. I simply accepted the fact that I might just lose the trade and complete my trading session right there. That's basically just about it. Another thing that I found quite useful is how to determine, how to find your daily bias. And it goes like this. You take array charting tool and you mark out the New York midnight open, which is here. And so then you mark out your 8:30 open, which is right here. And if the price at 9 a.m. or 9:30 is still below the both opens, then we're most likely just gonna continue higher from this point. We can expect one last manipulation move and then continue higher. Yeah, or if it was in the opposite directions, or let's say price would have done something like this up to 9:30, we could expect it to drop lower, but our technical analysis already told us that we are most likely going up. This was another confluence to our bias. That's why I was pretty confident in taking all these entries. Just the timing was a bit off, and I thought it's just gonna go straight up, which I always do. It's kind of my burden, but we're gonna get used to it. We're gonna learn from it. Hopefully I'm gonna be more patient next time. But yeah, that's about it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it, learned something new. I will try to provide more value for you. This is also like, this YouTube channel is not really to make any money from it, because I will most likely never monetize my videos. It's basically just to show you my trading journey, the reality of trading, as it gets quite complicated or frustrating at sometimes, because I also blew my account, my challenge account, last week. After the stream, I just continued to trade without any real bias, any technical support behind my position taking, and I lost what there was to be lost, basically. So yeah, today I just bought a new account, and hopefully we're not gonna blow it. Hopefully we're gonna learn something from the past experience from now on and not make the same mistakes. That's why I also record these videos, record and stream my sessions, not only for me but also for you guys, even though I'm not very popular right now. Like 2 people watch me, but I don't really care. If someone finds my videos, I'm happy that they did and that they can learn how the reality of trading looks like. So yeah, that's about it for today. Leave a like, helps a lot, even though there probably won't be many. But yeah, see you next time, probably tomorrow.